what's your perspective on all of the recordings that have come out of Thug and his interrogation tape and all this? It feels like hip hop is kind of split between whether he deserves the snitch reputation or not at this point.
Man, I think if Thug was a rat, the whole Atlanta would be in jail. That's just my personal opinion. I think Thug said some things. See, a lot of niggas that's speaking on this ain't never been on 23 and 1 like we have.
Mm.
When you locked in a cell 23 hours a day and you get 1 hour, and some days you might not even get the one if they short staff. You know, I think Thug was just on the phone with his girl, just venting, just saying things like, example, like the shit he said about Glorilla.
Yeah.
Like, anybody look at Glow and Glow ain't nothing ugly about Glow.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? You know, does Thug have a certain standard of women that he probably date? I'm sure, yeah. You know, them exotic women or whatever, but I'm sure he probably was just, just talking. You know, she was new in the game and she probably wasn't as beautiful then as she is now or whatever. Maybe that's what he meant to say.
She has had a glow up.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, when you get money make you look better.
Yeah.
You know, that's with anybody, you know.
Sure.
And so, but she was never ugly, you know. She just added the money to it and it's just kind of like enhanced certain things, you know. So, yeah, but as far as, Thug or whatever, I just think like the issue with him and Baby, the issue with him and a lot of his peers and friends, it seemed like they kind of like unfollowing them and things like that or whatever, Some of this shit I think is kind of being blown out of proportion, especially like with Baby, when he called Baby lame on the phone. So I'm waiting on Wham lame ass when he was trying to put the album out. You know how many partners that I die for I done call lame?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some of it is getting blown out of proportion. You could read between it.
Yeah, like I could be waiting on one of my homeboys to come pick me up if he take it too long. I'll be like, man, whole ass, nigga, lame ass. I love him to death though.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And if Thug don't love nobody, he love Wham. So yeah, I just think, he just getting a bad shake on,
We haven't seen like a lot of the people that he says shit about really like react to it besides QCP, who's kind of the most extreme example. And it's also like the person that Thug might have said the most extreme shit about because, Dirk can't be too mad about Thug being frustrated about not getting a verse right away. Or even with Future, it's kind of like he did call him like a dumb ass dude or some shit, but he was
and a deadbeat.
But yeah, he was giving his judgment on Future having all these kids out of wedlock and shit, which if you're really homies, you probably should be telling your homie that. Like, you don't need to keep nutting in all these girls and stuff. I didn't feel like that was that extreme, but for QCP to realize that Thug and other people were talking about him and calling him a snitch behind the scenes, that's probably the one that's not gonna just go away.
Yeah, and it's like, but when you look at Thug though, just damn Baby, what was Baby little partner name? Lil Steve. One used to be with Baby all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Thug exposed him being a rat. And so Thug done always stood on the rat, the no snitching shit or whatever. So me, if Thug is who he say he is, I don't think that's the first time that he's mentioned to Baby how he feels about Pete or whatever. And so,
for all we know, Baby might agree because Baby's locked in a contract. You don't really get to have an opinion.
Exactly. Baby, because Baby, quote unquote, he don't deal with rats either.
And he don't follow QCP no more, so we kind of see that him and QC.
That's serious.
See, now I ain't know that. That's music to my ears.
Yeah, they don't follow each other on social media anymore.
But why now? I mean, you been knew P cooperated, and I don't know P personally, or whatever the case may be, but I mean, if that paperwork, what they is showing is true, because I do know they have doctored paperwork, AI, a motherfucker in our generation now.
Mm-hmm.
But if that paperwork is true and the interview that I seen that the victim's done and all that is true, then yeah, P told.
Part of the crazy shit too is Thug just saying everybody in Atlanta been knowing about that. It's new. He goes, Jay-Z might not have known until then, but everybody
About
in Atlanta,
what P did?
about P telling allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, they say it's old. They said some old shit, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, or whatever. But like P said, though, P said he ain't no street dude.
Mhm.
He said he a citizen. And from what Whack 100 say, you know, the same shit that apply to street niggas don't apply to citizens. So if that's what P label himself as, then, you know, he shouldn't be held to the same, I guess, standards, so to speak, or whatever. Maybe he just a regular square dude that made the right investment in hip hop. And, you know, it is what it is.
You think Thug could be calling Gunna a rat if he kind of on there saying, and yo, I'll take my number down, or I'll holler at you, just don't tell the world. And then Gunna did the same kind of dry snitch shit where he was like, yes, man.
But
What's
bro,
the difference to you?
But bro, you gotta look at it like this. Like Thug say, signing that piece of paper could have got him life. You know what I'm saying? It's different. Like he stood up in court and said, Thug and them trying to label YSL as a label, hip hop. You stood up in court and said they was a gang. And I ain't saying what Gunna did is right or wrong, because it ain't my business to be speaking on Gunna. Like, I don't know the man or nothing like that, you know. But if it was one of mine, my homeboy, how they was together every day, then I would have rolled that shit out with Thug. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like Thug said, I don't know if he was trying to get to the girl in the Maybach picking him up or what, but you know, yeah, I would have rolled it out with him, especially knowing that they ain't had nothing on Gunna.
That's the crazy part.
Nothing. You know, the only thing they had on him was one rap line or some shit he said in a lyric or something. Other than, man, ride that shit out. You been partying and f***ing all the beautiful women in the world. It's time to take a break.
Yeah, I think the Thug interview made Gunna look a little selfish. I think we all looked at Gunna like, damn.
Yeah, just look at Yak them and all of them. You don't think, you know what kind of deal they offer Yak? To say Thug did and ordered this and ordered that? I know Thug and Yak ain't cool now, but, you know, Yak held it down for the most part. I know the interview kind of looked crazy. He did.
Yeah.
See, that's the weird thing about the standard for snitching is that it's like you can be the best guy in the world 99% of the time, but if one time you sat down and said the wrong thing, one wrong sentence to a cop or during an interrogation room or whatever, then that's going to be enough for them to basically permanently write you off. And even in the case of like the trial, you've got examples of certain people who might have said, I'm down to tell, and then the rest of their behavior didn't really tell that story. And
man, it's just like with Thug, you could even say Rollo. Do I think Rollo a rat? No. What I think Rollo did was try to finesse the system. And what we call in the federal system is getting the feds the time back to him. And I think that's what he tried. I think he tried to run a play. You know, they do it all the time. You know, sometimes it go right, sometimes it don't, or whatever. But, and that's another thing. If Rollo was a rat, I think a lot of niggas in Atlanta be in jail. You know, so, you know, I just think, man, you know, they got a lot of goofy shit going on. Young Thug, he said some things in an interrogation or whatever, but didn't nobody get locked up behind it or whatever, you know. And like Thug said, you know, he told when him and Rollo was going back and forth, he said, you know, I tried to free my man, you tried to fry yours. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I ain't saying that's what Rollo did, but you know, yeah, I don't think Thug was saying nothing intending to try to incarcerate nobody. But see, you go back to the old days and to the old heads, like, you know, in the old law, you know, like the conversation that's being had in the interrogation room, like, it don't even supposed to get that far. You know, like in the old days, the real gangsters and can we talk to you? Call my lawyer. You know, and ain't nothing else to be said after that. You won't even get to the interrogation room.
Ain't no spinning.
How can you get to the interrogation room without agreeing to go? You know, so it's different, you know, versus back then and now.
Yeah, I mean, even like the thug interrogation apparently took place when he was just walking through the mall. He got pulled aside or into the back room for like causing a disturbance or some shit. And then he chose to just talk, like just tell him all kinds of shit. Now, his excuse is, I didn't actually give him anything that got anyone arrested or convicted for anything. And if you really kind of drill down into most of his statements, it's like, okay, you're saying that PB Roscoe was holding Wayne's drugs. Like, all right, that's not really like that crazy. Or
they not finna go back. They can't go back and,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like that old goofy shit.
Definitely not.
What's that, a misdemeanor?
Yeah, definitely not the thing that like the average person is thinking of in terms of what you're supposed to be quiet with the cops of. But like if you're just talking to them for hours and hours in general, you can't really blame people for.
You know how much real street shit that Thug probably know about?
Oh yeah,
that he could have told them people if he was really a rat.
Yeah. All of us. I mean, really all of us, if we had a gun to our head, could probably cough up a lot of stuff.
Man, listen, if I was really me, I've been running with real street dudes, street cats my whole life.
Yeah.
We done like, I got people, individuals that love me like cook food because they know that we done everything it is up under the sun, and I done been in those situations. I just was in one, you know, where I could have did and said some horrible things about people that I grew up with and that I got a relationship with, but I ain't go that route. You know, I took it on myself, and I chose not to put none of my friends or any of that in jail just because I was in a jam.
If you haven't checked out Everything 420 yet, you are definitely missing out. From glass gear to infused sweets, they've got one of the best lineups online. They ship fast, it's always discreet, and their app makes shopping too easy. The deals are always running, and you can use code NOJUMPER for a little bonus at checkout. Shout out Everything 420.